husband's business partner fired me from the company I helped build. Then the accountant asked why my name was missing from the payroll records. I had worked alongside my husband, Ryan, for almost 9 years, helping turn his tiny landscaping company into a business with 12 employees and contracts all over the county. I handled payroll, invoices, scheduling, and almost everything behind the scenes while he focused on clients and crews. When his new business partner, Derek, joined, I was genuinely happy because it meant Ryan wouldn't have to carry everything alone. Then one Monday morning, Derek called me into the office and slid a folder across the desk. "We're restructuring," he said coldly. "Your position is being eliminated." I just stared at him. My heart started pounding. I reminded him that I wasn't just an employee, I was the person who had built the entire payroll and accounting system. He shrugged and said, "That's exactly why we're changing it." I walked out of that office shaking, convinced my own husband would immediately defend me. He didn't. Ryan called me that evening and said, "Derek believed the company would run more efficiently without me." I couldn't believe it. I asked him how he could stand there while someone pushed me out of a business I'd helped build from the beginning. He told me not to make it personal and promised we'd figure things out at home. That sentence hurt more than the firing. Over the next few weeks, I noticed Ryan becoming strangely secretive. He changed passwords, moved business documents into a locked cabinet, and started taking phone calls outside. I wasn't just losing my job anymore. I was losing trust in my own marriage. Then one afternoon, the company's accountant called me unexpectedly. Her voice sounded confused. "Can I ask you something? Why did Derek remove your name from the payroll records going back 6 years?" I immediately froze. "What do you mean, going back 6 years?" She explained that Derek had been reviewing old records because the company was preparing for an acquisition. During the review, she'd discovered that my salary and ownership percentage had been quietly altered in the internal accounting system, months before Derek ever fired me. According to the original documents, I owned 35% of the company. The newer records showed me owning nothing. My hands started shaking as I searched through the files I'd personally created years earlier. The original shareholder agreement was still saved on an old backup drive. There it was, my signature, Ryan's signature, and the attorney's certification. I owned 35%. Derek had somehow convinced Ryan to transfer his own shares to Derek, then altered the internal records to make it appear I'd never had ownership at all. But there was one problem. The legal filings had never been changed. I hired an attorney the next morning. The company acquisition was immediately paused. When Derek discovered the original shareholder agreement existed, his entire story collapsed. He claimed he'd only been cleaning up outdated paperwork, but the attorney found emails where Derek had specifically discussed removing my ownership before the acquisition, so my shares could be bought out cheaply. Then came the part that hurt the most. Ryan had known about the plan for almost 4 months. When I confronted him, I was crying so hard I could barely speak. "You knew they were taking my company away from me?" He looked down and whispered, "I thought we'd fix it later." I completely lost it. "Later? You watched me get fired from something I built." The legal dispute lasted nearly a year, but the evidence was overwhelming. Derek was forced out, the original ownership records were restored, and the acquisition eventually went through. With my 35% stake fully recognized, Ryan and I separated shortly afterward. The strangest part was that I wasn't devastated about the company anymore. I'd spent years believing the business was our shared dream, but I finally understood that I'd been doing most of the work while allowing someone else to take credit for it. 6 months later, I started my own consulting company, helping small businesses organize payroll and financial systems. My first client was a landscaping company that had heard what happened to me and specifically hired me because of my experience. Looking back, losing that job felt like the worst day of my life, until I realized it was the day I finally stopped letting other people decide what my work was worth. Would you have fought for your ownership after discovering the records had been changed, or walked away from the business completely? Yes or no?